In segment 4, we talked about shares and sort of a source of early capital. It plays the same role as capital, it seems to me. But the question is, how do you take those shares and realize value from them? So I would assume that the first customer you get after you've formed this new company that actually pays for whatever service or product you're providing increases the value of those shares. Am I right about that?
Exactly right. Exactly right. And if you have your others and you can, your best story is that you take that money from that one customer, you redeploy it to go get another customer. You talk to the customer you've got and find out whether he or she likes your product and ask them to talk about this product to a bunch of their friends, and little by little you grow your customer pool. And then all of a sudden you have a company that is producing something and is of value to people, and as a result that little pie we've talked about had grown to be much more valuable.
But I think a common misperception based on listening to what you just said may be that you get, let's say we're both pretty successful, we founded this company, we had an idea, and we each sold $2,000 or $3,000 worth of our new product, whatever it is, or service, whatever it is. Then a lot of people would say, well, we got a total of $6,000. I own 60% of the shares, you own 40% of the shares. So I get 60% and you get 40% of that money, and we can take that and go buy groceries or pay our apartment bill or whatever we do with it. Yeah. But that's not really true, is it?
Well, it depends what your company is doing, because before you took those shares, the question is, does the company have any expenses, right? When you do have a net income, which is your revenues minus your expenses, and if it's in a positive territory, you and I, Steve, we're going to get to decide. Option A is we take some of the proceeds, and that will be indeed in proportion of what we own, back to pay ourselves salary or go do whatever else we want. However, if you want to build, I'm a VC, so I'm in the business of building big companies. I'm in the business of building unicorns. Very rarely, if we did just said and took the money home, that would be enough to build the company. Almost never. And so what you and I ought to do is we ought to take, a little money to stipend so that you and I don't starve, that we have a roof over our head, just very, very, very modest. And then we put everything else back into the company to go make more sales, to maybe hire someone who could help us make those sales, to maybe hire an extra engineer to help add those features that the customers were talking about. And that process will be ongoing. If you and I went from an idea to a company, in most cases, it's going to be years before we're going to be taking home the proceeds that will be more than the very, very basic stipend of that.
So if you and I form this company, and it's kind of succeeding early on, we got a few $1,000s a piece we've sold, then I have an idea, and we put that in the app or whatever kind of company we formed, and sales increase because of my idea. Am I entitled to more for that idea than you are?
The question is, who executed that? That generally is a bad logic. If you and I are co-founders, we have some original shares, but after that we are doing our job. The way you ensure yourself from, and that is a good practice, is you're not going to get rewarded for every new idea you bring in. But you and I have to be sufficiently motivated to work very, very hard at what we do. So generally, when companies come to us, if they don't already have that, we advise them that they ought to have vesting, which is basically when we got those shares, we don't own all of those shares outright. And you and I have to spend a year with the company before a quarter of those shares will vest. And then after that year, it will be it's called vesting, which is basically means here these shares, they sit here, but you only own the shares that you've earned over the period of time that you and I had worked on that company. That concept is called vesting. Again, probably too much to go into this right now, but very well written about by us, by a lot of other people. Vesting is very important because that motivates you and me to go and work hard on the company. That ensures you, if you want to work on the idea and you're there day in and out, and I decide, I already have these shares, Steve seemed to be doing pretty well, let me go take the next year on vacation. If I don't work, I don't earn that next sliver of shares.